What's going on, nation? Welcome to the Week 2 NFL DFS podcast. I am your host, Paulie D, and I'm joined once again in our weekly Thursday night spot by Mr. Patio Joe. What's going on, Joey boy?
Oh, not much, man. It's week 2. I'm excited. The kids are asleep. I've done a lot of research. My other job's been a little bit slower than normal, so I am ready for week 2, man. I'm happy to be back talking to you, talking to the nation.
Yeah, man. You already got a cash game article out there with some GPP tidbits. Check that out. If you have not. How was your week 1?
Week 1 was okay. It would have been better if Fournette didn't get hurt. I had about probably 85% Fournette, so that just torpedoed my day. So
he killed like one of my lineups, but my biggest mistake was I played all my cash games in one big head-to-head instead of like adding to it, and that was my best team. It scored like 220, and I lost that head-to-head and like lost my cash games. So big mistake. I got to get spread it out, but you know, I made a couple blunders during the week. But otherwise, like we were on a lot of the right stuff. I was pretty happy how the week went. Had Connor, had Kamara. Biggest things I missed was I had some Saints D. I did not see Tampa Bay coming at all. And the Fournette injury kind of banged me up. But I caught like E-Man Sanders, the Luck Cincinnati, little stack worked out. Overall, I was pretty happy about the week. What's your thoughts on this week? Or you got something to tell the world about week 1?
Yeah, well, week 1, everybody always like overreacts. Okay, so there's 2 instances where I literally it sent me up the freaking wall. Okay, first instance, Chargers Chiefs game. Okay, now before everybody wants to praise Patrick Mahomes as next coming of God at quarterback, and he's going to be the greatest thing ever because he had 4 touchdown passes in that game. Do you realize that 2 of those touchdown passes were forward handoffs that they considered passes?
I know.
They're not touchdown. There's no talent in that right there. That was everything of the play call. That has nothing to do with the freaking quarterback. So before you start picking him being the best quarterback and he's the future and everything like that, let's just make him have some better throws. Okay, he had Tyreek just basically just blew one, and he was faster than everybody else. Yep. And then, but he gets the praise, and that just couples me on to the next thing that pissed me off, the Sunday night game. Okay? God comes out of the locker room at halftime to play quarterback, as they say. God, okay? Plays quarterback, right? He throws a pass to Devontae Adams, which was really good. So I give him that, okay? But the winning touchdown pass, that wasn't him. That was Randall Cobb, okay?
Yep.
So don't be praising Rodgers for what he did. He threw a slant pad and Randall Cobb took it to the house, okay? It was a 5-yard pass that any quarterback should be able to make, and he took it to the house. But yet Rodgers is thought of as being God because of it, okay? Because the Bears, for some reason, fell asleep. It's not even so much the play. It's the fact of what the media does. You know what I mean? If the media doesn't make it oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. It's dude, Cobb was the one who made those plays, okay? It was a forward handoff. It wasn't a great touchdown pass, It was everything like that. It's just kind of that's what just bugged me.
So Mahomes, I completely agree with you. A lot of his yards were inflated. A lot of the touchdown stats were handoffs. A lot of the yards was Tyreek Hill running after the catch. So him, against the Chargers defense that was depleted, you didn't have Bosa to bring the pass rush. He barely got hit. Him, I expect to have growing pains. Aaron Rodgers, maybe that touchdown pass wasn't him, but they were down 20-0. He came back, played hurt. They came back to win.
Well, I just think it's more the media, like Collinsworth. You know what I mean? It's oh God. I just and today
heroes.
It was the worst. It was the worst part of my day today was when I turned on the football game and saw Joe Buck was on the game. I was like, no, not Thursday again. Thank God it's not the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? Oh, God.
Yeah. No, I know. And it was a pretty good game.
It was. It actually was.
AJ Green, I got him in my season-long team. He balled out. That was nice. And then I thought the Ravens played well the rest of the way. Almost came back.
Yeah, it's one of those AFC North games that you really can never predict. they're either like, 12-9 or these wild games where the Ravens had no business winning that game, but they were literally one play away from tying it most of the game. And AJ Green catching three touchdown passes, that's got to help. If you played him on Thursday, kudos. I know everybody always says it's fade the Thursday game. So
he was only like 7% owned.
Yeah.
And pairing with Dalton was only 1% owned. So the chances that guys just put those two in are less than 1%. It's really not going to have a ton of impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and somebody asked in the chat if we were talking about Mahomes, and yeah, we're talking about Mahomes. We're saying everybody just calm your jets on him. The stats were okay. We thought that 2 of the touchdown passes were forward handoffs that were the easiest thing in the book to make. If you were watching the Monday night game, Jared Goff had one just like that too. So
it's becoming a thing, and if they're going to do 6 to 10 of them a year for touchdowns, then it's something you got to like add into like the process. But I'm not ready to anoint him, and I hope he's very chalky this week because he could easily bust.
I think he will be. I think we'll get to that game. That's a very interesting game. So
yeah, well, I think that's like a perfect segue into the slate, and that's the highlight game of the week. The game has risen a ton since opening. Let's see where it's at right now. It opened at 50. And the total now is up to 53.5. So 3.5 points it's risen. And the Steelers opened up as 5-point favorites. They're down to 4.5. What's like your thoughts on this game, and who are you looking for in DFS?
All right. So this game, it stands out as like, to me, the only really true game where you're like, okay, I can stack this game. Like one of my questions are like, we're going to go through other games, and I was looking through the other slate, and all the other ones, like, yeah, I can go one side. I'm like, I can go one side. I can go one side. Going both sides, you really feel like this is the one game you can really hone in on. And that's why I think Mahomes is going to be more chalkier than we think, is because you're going to want 2 players of the Chiefs. You're going to want Hill, and you're going to want Mahomes. And you want to bring it back with Connor and Brown and Juju, hopefully, and Juju too. I think Juju has, price considered, I think he's just as good as play as Brown this week, because I think that they're going to try and take Brown away, and that's going to leave Juju open a lot. I mean, everybody realizes this, that Rivers would have had 500 yards passing if it wasn't for 2 dropped, like literally easy dropped passes. The Chiefs secondary is like monumentally bad. And we have the narrative of Ben at home. You have the best receiver in the game. You have, a good second-year, third-year receiver in Juju. It just seems like it's so easy just to stack. Connor is, to me, your cash game plays. If you want to go Ben, go right ahead. You can go to Ben. But I like Brown and Connor as just lock cash game plays this week for me. And you can also go with Juju if you wanted to. But if you were doing a stack, I'm going with, Connor, Brown, Juju, Hill, Mahomes, probably.
I like it. Who do you think wins this game?
Steelers.
So, part of the Chargers, big totals last week was game flow. Like, Hill took the first kickoff to the house, and the Chiefs were up early, and the Chargers had to play come from behind. I think that's why Gordon got thrown to so much. And, I like the Steelers, but, looking at their games, Roethlisberger has one 5-touchdown game against them, but the others have been low scoring, and it's been all Lev Bell. So Connor, to me, I agree. Lock him in cash game. He's underpriced. He's going to get 20 to 30 carries, another 5 to 10 targets, depending how close or far apart the game is. And then, the Chiefs play man-to-man defense, and Antonio Brown is the best man-to-man beating receiver out there. And, if I can get him, I want him too. He's just expensive. I think there's a lot of good receivers, but I'm with you there. And then, I may just run some Steelers. I don't mind Juju in tournaments, but AB and Connor and Cash, you want to add Roethlisberger. It's going to be hard, I think, to get up to him on DK, but if you can make it work, sure. And then Hill would probably be the only guy I'd bring it back with. Kelsey has not had a good game against them in a long time. But I kind of think the Steelers' defense, they got 7 sacks last week. Like, I think they could give Mahomes some trouble, and maybe the Chiefs let down a little bit more in this game. I'm not sure, but I think that's like a game flow that you need to consider. But Connor's a lock for me. I will definitely be playing him probably 100% on every team. And then if I can get AB, I will. But this game's going to be really highly owned. Like, I don't mind the idea of coming off it a little bit. The chalk hits
Keep
so
talking
hard.
my mic is out.
And I thought that, I think this week, aggressive jumping on the chalk, and it might be the week to fade it a little bit. But, that's obviously the headline game that we're going to be researching through kickoff. The other kind of, I guess, headline game is going to be this Browns going into New Orleans. Very similar setup to last week. New Orleans, huge favorite. They opened at 8. They're out to 10-point favorites, same as last week. Total of this one opened up at 47.5. It's up to 49.5, which was the same total as last week's game. Like, no one saw the Tampa Bay Bucks coming and keeping that game close and even winning it. But I realized today that the Chiefs have gone 0-2 the last 4 years in a row, and maybe I should have seen Tampa Bay coming a little bit more. I mean, Fitzpatrick's a decent quarterback. But do you think the Browns can keep them close? Or do you think the Saints win this one convincingly?
Man, you want to think they are. You know what I'm saying? You want to think that they will, but who would have thought last week? The one thing I will say is last week was a division opponent. That always can be weird. Now you got a team, are the Browns coming in? Is it a little bit of a letdown? You know what I'm saying? Like, they played 5 quarters. Remember that. You can go back and look. A team that plays 5 quarters next week, I don't know. They got to travel. That might be something you got to look at. I mean, to me, I feel like if you want to play Michael Thomas and Cash, go right ahead. He is the perfect just a switch, just a totally different play. If you just want to go somewhere else besides Brown, you can go to Michael Thomas or Julio, and they're just as fine because it just seems like Breeze is just going to pepper him and Kamara. Kamara is another player. He's just, to me, it's like he's matchup proof right now. If you remember what Sean Payton said last year, he goes, the only person that's holding him from MVP is me. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to just unleash him. And I think he's going to get 2 or 3 touchdowns again, like I said. Price. I don't really want much of the Browns. I feel like they'll never be like, okay, well, man, I wish I had Josh Gordon today. No, I'm never going to say that. Like, I'll be okay. I mean, I think Tyrod Taylor is somebody you want to look at in cash because his floor is okay. But I think there's a quarterback on FanDuel that I like just as much for cash down below, just to stay around the same price. So I'm okay with fading all the Browns if you want to go with just an onslaught of Saints.
Okay. Do you think if the Saints win convincingly, Kamara gets as much usage? Like, they were trailing, so they kind of, Gillisley came in, fumbled, like he was the only option. But say they get up 21-3 late in the third. Do you think Gillisley gets some carries? Like, Kamara's not as used, and he really didn't run very well. A lot of his points came through the air.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case with a few of the top running backs this week, in my opinion. Like, there's going to be, like, you can talk about Gurley. How much are they going to be in that game? That's why it's like I wrote in my article, I'm like, I like Goff's floor, but he's not going to have a ceiling game where he's going to be passing all night. And I just don't think like Gurley's going to be running in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes to go because they're going to be chilling. So same thing can happen with Kamara. But what happened last week, remember I texted you, I go, if the Saints D is this bad, Kamara will be an auto play every game.
Yep.
And if this game, if you think Cleveland's going to be in this game, you have to play Kamara. That's the way I think, because he'll be involved the whole game.
Yep. I think you got to make a decision which game will be closer, kind of.
Mhm.
And, you know, personally, I think this game has a better chance of being close than the Cardinals against the Rams.
Oh, of course.
But in cash, so you're going to go Kamara over Gurley?
Yes.
See, like, a part of me agrees with that, but a part of me also thinks, like, if the Rams are beating the Cardinals like 30 to nothing, it's because Gurley went nuts the same way Adrian Peterson did against this terrible defense last week. So, like, I'm still on the fence, but right now I lean Gurley over Kamara if I have to choose. And getting them both on DK is really difficult this week.
Yeah, you can get them. You can get them.
You can get them both on FanDuel. You can.
It's easy. I've done.
Yeah.
There's some lineups crazy.
FanDuel is just a different animal. Like you can get them both, no problem. So those are, I guess, the two kind of headline games. What are some other what are some other running backs that you think are going to be popular this week? Like, what do you think the public response to Melvin Gordon going into Buffalo, another terrible run defense after having a monster game?
Yeah, that's another thing where how much is he going to be used? If he doesn't blow up, I don't know if they're going to use him a lot. They might go to Eckler. They might just grunt. It might not be one of those games where he's running the ball a lot. I like his price. My article, I like the guy that I like. Your boy,
Mm-hmm.
with Deion Jones, one of the best linebackers in the league, going on IR, and the Falcons already giving up. They've given up the most receptions out of the backfield the last 3 years, all 3 years. So now you take away your best linebacker, who's trying to shore that up. The reason why they gave up so many is because they had Deion Jones be able to run them down, so they wouldn't get a lot of yardage. Now without him, and they lost another player, Neal, I think his name was.
Yeah, two like corner / outside linebacker types.
I just think McCaffrey is in for a huge day, and I don't know. I don't normally pump him up. That's your boy. Like I said, your boy.
And Greg Olsen went down, so like his target, his market share is going to increase.
Exactly, and I like him. Other guys, two other guys I like. AP, just play him. I think you got to play him until they buck you. They're going to keep running him into the ground until he gets hurt. I don't know if he's going to last all year, but maybe they know that. And they got a good thing going with Chris Thompson on the outside, catching passes, and they got AP running first and second down. And I think he's a great play. The last guy I want to talk about is James White. I don't normally want to play a Patriots player in cash, but Burkhead's in the concussion protocol.
Yeah, and he's got a knee thing too.
Jeremy Hill just tore his ACL. Sony Michel is a rookie that has never seen a down. And they're playing the Jags. Like, to me, it just looks like James White at 5,900. He's a lock because it lets you get in warm earlier tomorrow or whatever. Actually, I love him. I feel like he's going to be involved no matter what game script is going to be. It's not going to be a blowout. It is. That's what I got.
Okay. Two other guys I just wanted to touch on is one, David Johnson. His price came down a tad. Like, he got goal line targets. He, was like their main target of that offense. They just couldn't get anything going. Any interest in going to DJ in, a game where they're probably going to be coming from behind. Excuse me, once again. And the second guy is Dion Lewis. Like, clearly had a bigger role than Henry over there in Tennessee, taking on Houston, and a team that where like they're probably going to want to pass out of the backfield to the running back a little more if Mariota even plays. What do you think of those two guys? What do you think of DJ and then Dion Lewis?
I'm off DJ this week just because he's got a little back issue.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I just don't think he's going to have like a ceiling game at his price to where you like Adam. Deion Lewis, I think is fine on better on DraftKings, but remember, Derrick Henry did have a 60-yard run back for holding that wasn't there called back.
Yeah,
so,
he's 5K on DraftKings, and I'm thinking like 6 to 8 targets, another 15 carries. Like, it's just a huge workload. It's similar to Christian McCaffrey for like half the price.
Yeah, I get it, and I think that the game script is going to be where they're going to need to be using Lewis passing. I don't think Watson is gonna play an egg. So I might not have any shares of Watson, but I think it's gonna be a good game. So
Watson and Hopkins is interesting to me. Like, I did see that Hopkins had some kind of injury designation. I don't think it's anything serious, but it says foot remain limited at practice. Draws a Q tag. I don't think it's anything serious because he finished the last game. And he's going up against Houston, who Tom Brady pretty much dissected last week. Got even, third and fourth receivers involved. Like, DeAndre Hopkins was the most reliable receiver last year, even more than Antonio Brown. And if Will Fuller's out, he's the only target. This isn't the Patriots who are going to take out Hopkins. I could see Hopkins having a pretty big game, and then pairing him with Watson, they did have that was like one of Watson's first monster games was against Tennessee last year. So it's like that's like a GPP pivot that I'm kind of like gravitating towards a little bit.
Yeah, and people are going to be off of him after we got him last week. Sure. We got a question in the chat from our man D Millie. Thoughts on because you just talked about Hopkins. Thoughts on Hopkins being a pivot off of Julio, AB, or Thomas, or Tyreek, or is that getting too huge?
No, I don't think so. As long as the health is fine, and if Will Fuller's out, especially, I think he can get a similar game to like Odell Beckham and Julio Jones with like 15 to 20 targets and just massive yards, completions, and touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Miami just threw all over this Titans defense.
Yeah, I agree. They did. And that was a weird game, man.
Yeah, delayed twice.
Yeah,
for sure.
Hard to get away. What are some receivers like? Because I feel like this week, like we got to talk about Julio.
Mm-hmm.
He's at home, going up against Carolina. This is where he got his 200-yard game 2 years
300-yard game.
And he got? How many touchdowns did he have?
I think he only had one. He only had one that game, but still, the 300 yards, like, it was, a week-winning kind of performance.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're going to have at least one team with him on because he might not get in the end zone, but he can still get 30.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that they're clearly going to throw to him. Carolina could be leading that game. I like the, kind of stacking that one up with McCaffrey, Julio, Ryan, who's cheap, or if you want to go to Cam, you can do that, but I prefer Ryan. Ryan is thrown for tons of yards against his team, not only just that Julio game, but the two after. Julio hasn't had as good of games, too, after that one, but we know the potential's there. The Panthers have a good run D, not a good secondary. They play a lot of man-to-man. Like, Julio could definitely go off. I think that's another tournament pivot off of your Antonio Browns. I like that for sure.
Did you play him in Julio and Cash?
I think you can if you can get there, but I think like on DraftKings, the build is going to be pay down at quarterback, pay up at running back, Connor, and then either you're going to pay up for receiver and then pay down at your other two receivers and your flex, or you can, pay mid-tier with all your receivers and get another stud running back with your flex and then like a cheap tight end. But I don't think you're going to be able to get to Julio, and in cash, you should probably just go get Brown.
Yeah. Who's Who's your cash game quarterback right now?
So there's a couple guys on DraftKings, but it's definitely going to be a cheap quarterback, and it's either like Foles against that Tampa Bay secondary that got shredded, or you can look at Case Keenum, pair him up with Emmanuel Sanders against Oakland, who has just no passing defense. And I think there's people going to be looking at Tyrod Taylor paired up with like a Landry, who had 15 targets, or maybe like an Njoku, cheap tight end. But I think those are going to be like the main cash targets under 6K on DraftKings.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you on FanDuel. For me, my cash game quarterback is Case Keenum.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even overthinking this. The Raiders are coming off of a short week.
Yep.
Okay. They are going to Mile High. So,
yep.
And I'm already hearing grumblings how Gruden might be losing the locker room already.
Oh God. And Denver ran like a ton of 3 receiver sets. They threw the ball a lot. Oakland has a decent run defense. It makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, I think I feel like, when you're going to talk about a core, FanDuel for me, Keenum starts me right there. I like receivers to me. I feel like there's 2 receivers that are low, that aren't in the top tier that I'm just going to lock into my cash games too. That's Manny Sanders, and the other one is probably my top lock of the week is Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp.
I'm all over Cooper Kupp this week. For his price on FanDuel, like Cooks and Woods are going to be locked down. Peterson is going to be on one of them all day. One of them. And that's just going to leave Kupp just operating all over the middle.
Yeah, and he led that team in red zone targets. I don't mind it. I just they have 3 legitimate targets now with what's his name? Cook's there now, but I'm fine with it. So the receiver that I love is Nelson Agholor against Tampa Bay.
I wrote about Agholor. I agree, 100%.
So, all right, let's move over to tight ends, and we'll do defense, and then we'll build a core and get out of here. So, what are some tight ends you're looking at? I have one guy that I'm locking into cash as my core play. I'm set. Where are you at tight end?
There's 3 tight ends that I'm looking at this week in cash. One's George Kittle. Love him.
That's mine.
Jimmy G.
I'm playing George Kittle. Marquise Goodwin's down. They're playing the Lions. The Jets completed 4 passes to tight ends, and they have the worst tight end crew in all football. And I'm playing Kittle. He got 9 targets. He's got a good rapport with Garoppolo. That one's just money. 3.8 on DK. I'm locking that in.
Yeah, I mean that's why I like Kittle. And that's why I kind of like Kupp. Because I just feel like the chemistry between Garoppolo and Kittle is great. Just like Kupp and Goff. That's the best. But I also, another guy, if you want to pivot off of that, at the same price, Jack Doyle. I think he's going to be involved all game. They're going to be behind, or they're going to be ahead, and they're going to always throw. They have no running game. They have T.Y. Hill. The other guy is Ryan Grant, okay?
Yeah.
Doyle's the guy. And then for 5,000, I'll go to the well again for Jared Cook. Okay?
Yep.
That was a ceiling game, but for 5,000, there was a price discrepancy. They would have raised it if he played on Sunday, but he played on Monday. So we're getting a little bit of a discount. It will help you get in those high-priced guys. Brown, Brown, Kamara. I have Brown and Kamara in the same lineup.
Yep.
So
you could go 2 tight ends in the flex this week too. Tight end and a tight end in the flex to get double pay downs, so you can get more expensive running backs receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on board with all those. Jared Cook's 3.6 on DK, yes. Jack Doyle 4K, too cheap for what his involvement is. Only other guy that I may look at is Reed in Washington. They play the Colts, who were you could have thrown all over. The Bengals did. And Alex Smith can't throw deep. He doesn't have many good receivers. He leans on the tight end. Kelsey was his guy last year. Reed is healthy. I think you could play Reed in that game against the Colts' bad defense.
Yeah. I'm with it. What about defense?
So defense this week to me is like wide open. I think there's like a bunch of spots you can go. If you got the money and can afford the Rams, great. I would strongly consider playing them. But there's like plenty of spots you can go. I think you can go. Here, let me rank this in terms of price because
Here's something I'll say. This tonight showed me one thing when I saw the Bengals play the Ravens. To me, it showed me that the Bills' offense is really like the Ravens' defense did not look bad tonight. I realized Mosley got hurt, and they didn't have Jimmy Smith, but Bills barely scored on this defense. And they got thrown over Andy Dalton, 4 touchdown passes. What the hell? You know what I mean? So I feel like the Chargers are a pretty safe defense that if they're going up against Josh Allen, start. The other defense I like, I think the Broncos are another defense you can look at.
Yeah.
I see like, again, a short week. Teams in turmoil early already. I just feel like they're not going to be able to run the ball. Get a couple sacks. Carr's going to cough it up a couple times.
Yep.
The Jets, too.
Totally agree.
What about the Jets?
Yeah, I don't mind the Jets for cheap. They're super cheap on DK. I'm with that. If that helps you get a better player, I'm even fine with that in cash. I think you could look at Houston's defense if there's no Mariota. I think you look at Pittsburgh's defense. There's a good chance that Mahomes throws a lot of picks because he's young and they can bring a lot of pressure. You can look at Jacksonville against New England. They put up a decent day against them last year. There's a lot you can choose from on defense. I think, you make the rest of your team and whatever's left and can fit, you take the best option at defense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, your Chargers, they're known for intercepting Buffalo rookies 5 times in their first game. So I'm fine with it. If Bosa was back, I'd be all over it. But I still think it's possible. Although I don't like that they're traveling 3,000 miles west to east.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not it's not the most ideal, but like I feel like even the Rams defense, like it's a division game. I don't see it happening, so I like the Rams defense too. I'm all with the Rams. And I probably will play them if I have the money. But I think that Bradford's got to play a little bit better.
I hope. I don't know, though. It's not definite. Yeah, that's going to kind of do it for the position by position. Let's build out a little core, and then we'll get out of here. You'll have articles coming out from us later this week. You'll have the expert poll that's going to be out. We're going to have the live stream on Saturday. And as always, the Slack chat will be bumping throughout the weekend. But this is a nice first look. For me, in terms of core, right now, it's Connor. It's one of Gurley or Kamara. I'm going to say Gurley right now. And then Kittle at tight end and probably Emmanuel Sanders at receiver. And I don't mind going with Keenum.
Yeah, for me, it's Keenum, it's Kamara and Connor. And I like Cooper Kupp and Sanders.
Yep, I'm with that. So, if you are listening on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Podbeam, iTunes, Twitch, please do your part. Help support the Wise Take Nation. Like, share, and follow. If you are not a member, try us out for a day pass, a week pass for the NFL. I believe is $7.99. Come check us out. If you get the monthly or further, you can join the Slack chat, which is probably the most essential part of the subscription, where you get to talk with us and the members 24/7 pretty much in there. And there's a lot of good ideas. That's where a lot of the thought process comes together. But should be another good week too. Articles will be out Friday, early Saturday. Any last words, Joey, before we get out?
No, man, just enjoy week 2 and don't flip out. We still are just trying to get a read on what's going on. We think these teams are going to be like this, and then somebody will roll up again and just surprise us. So,
Who's this week's Tampa Bay Bucks?
Man, if I had to guess, man, you know, I don't know. You have anybody?
Maybe the Browns. Maybe the Browns against the same Saints defense.
Just keep doing it.
Possible.
Yeah, I guess it could happen. I don't know. I think maybe. Oof. No. No. I mean, Carolina could beat Atlanta. That could happen.
Yep, that could happen. But
maybe Indy could beat Washington.
All right, we'll take that one. On that note, for Patio Joe, for myself, for the nation, we are out.
Peace.